Things go from bad to worse for the Buccaneers with the news surrounding Chris Godwin. I'm going to take some more voicemails and I'm going to give my final thoughts on the Sunday night debacle. All that and more on this episode of the Locked On Bucs podcast. Let's go.
You are Locked On Buccaneers, your daily Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, and welcome to the Locked On Bucs podcast. I am James Yarko, flying solo on this episode. David had some things come up, but hey, he was solo yesterday. I'm solo today. That's kind of how we do things every once in a while because life happens. And when you get a little busy, especially around the holidays, we have each other's backs. But you can check out everything David and I are doing over at BucsNation.com. Follow along on Twitter at Locked On Bucs, at JYarko_Bucs, at DHarrison82, and at Bucs_Nation. We'd like to thank all of you for making Locked On Bucs your first listen or first watch every day, free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed over there at the YouTube channel. But we are going to kick things off in a very morose mood, much like the way yesterday's episode went. Shout out to David for covering me there. I appreciate it. But things have not gotten better. They have only gotten worse. Bruce Arians, when speaking to the media on Monday, confirmed that Chris Godwin has torn his ACL and he is out for the rest of the season. In other injury news, Mike Evans and Leonard Fournette underwent more testing. They are week to week. Antonio Brown is back. He's going to fill in, obviously, for Chris Godwin. We'll get to more on that in just a moment. But another injury that kind of went under the radar, probably because it's not a name like Chris Godwin or Mike Evans or Leonard Fournette, but a special teams beast for the Buccaneers, Patrick O'Connor, who went down late in the game. He has a torn PCL and partial MCL. So bad news across the board for the Buccaneers, but you lose Chris Godwin, a guy who was on the cusp of 100 catches on the season when he left the game against the Saints with, only a minute and a half into the second quarter. He had 6 receptions. He still led the team in receiving yards when all was said and done. He has been the go-to guy for Brady since Brady arrived in 2020. Nobody has more receptions than Godwin does since Brady's arrival. And think back to last season when Godwin was missing games. So even with missed games, Godwin has been the guy for Brady. He's the leading receiver on the team, and it's could not be worse for Chris Godwin. It's terrible timing for the Buccaneers. You're getting ready to go into the playoffs, and you're losing essentially a number one wide receiver. But on the other side, Chris Godwin is about to enter free agency. He was playing this season on the franchise tag. This is why teams hate, or not teams, but players hate the franchise tag, because there is no long-term security. So now Chris Godwin is going to have to undergo surgery, repair that ACL. You're going to have teams that obviously we're going to fight for the ability to sign Godwin, because he could be a number one receiver on about 27 other NFL teams. How many teams are going to be bidding for his services when they're not sure how the recovery is going to go? And I realize as Bucs fans, people are going to be sitting there saying, well, that's good. That gives the Bucs a better chance to get him back. I personally don't believe Godwin was going to go anywhere. I truly believed in my heart of hearts that the Buccaneers were going to do every single thing that they could to ensure that they locked up Chris Godwin to a multi-year deal. But what this does is this hurts Chris Godwin's ability to get his bag. And we know NFL, while standing for the No Fun League, also stands for not for long. So when a player has an opportunity to make his money and get what he feels he deserves or he has earned, David and I have said it time and time again, this is a pro player podcast. We're excited for these guys to go out and they get their money because they've earned it. They deserve it. And there aren't a lot of opportunities to maximize on that opportunity. So this really does hurt Chris Godwin in the long term, maybe it's one of those situations where Brady's only under contract for another year. They might say, "Hey, Chris, let's sign you for one more year. Give us one more year. Then we could talk about long term." As he would be a building block and a center point of being able to keep this thing going further down the road. Maybe he does leave one day. Maybe that day is coming up when when free agency begins in March. But this is a huge blow to the Buccaneers championship opportunity this season. It's a huge blow to Chris Godwin. Hoping for a speedy recovery for Chris. He's been a guest on the show a few times. He is one of David and my favorite players. He is one of our favorite people. So wish him all the best in the world. But now we have to shift our focus. We have to turn our attention over to the football aspect of things. Mike Evans, I guess there's a possibility that he could play this Sunday. I doubt it, but that possibility is out there. He's week to week with that hamstring injury, as is Leonard Fournette. I think it's more likely that you would see Mike Evans rather than Leonard Fournette, the way Leonard Fournette's leg kind of bent back and he kind of did the splits and he was bent awkwardly forward. It was an ugly situation. And then Ronald Jones. I've been very critical of Ronald Jones this season. He came in and he played extremely well. It was mind-boggling how he didn't get more opportunities, and they turned to Keyshawn Vaughn in those situations where they did when Rojo was playing so well. But you do have now the return of Antonio Brown. So even if Mike Evans can't go, you now have the threat of somebody who could be a number. We've seen weeks where Antonio Brown is a number one receiver. He still has that in him. He still has that ability. Maybe he gets off to a little bit of a slow start because of how long he's been out. It's been like 10 weeks, guys, that Antonio Brown has missed. We also know Ronald Jones' history against the Panthers. He tends to do relatively well against the Carolina Panthers. Obviously, he had that huge, it was 98-yard touchdown run last season against Carolina. So you may see them lean a little heavier on the run game. Probably going to see a lot of 2 tight end sets again. You'll have Antonio Brown out there. You'll have Tyler Johnson out there. You'll have Scotty Miller. I don't want to see Jaelon Darden out there anymore. We're going to get to that later. That's a little tease for some things that I have to say to close out my final thoughts on this game. But Antonio Brown is not Chris Godwin. Antonio Brown isn't really even Mike Evans at this stage, but he does still have those flashes where he can absolutely take over a game with his speed and his elusiveness. They are going to need that moving forward down the stretch for these final 3 games. Coming up in just a moment, we're going to get to a few more of your voicemails. You guys were awesome. You have flooded this voicemail box. I'm only going to be able to get to a couple of them, but I want to get to as many as I can, react to what some of you are saying, answer some questions that you guys have sent in. I'm not going to be able to get to all of them, but please continue to call in. We are going to, we try to mix it up. We try to get first-time callers in. So please continue to do that. We're going to get to some of you guys here in just a moment. But look, you listen to podcasts for the power of knowledge. You switched to Boost Mobile for the power of saving money, because with Boost, you get the power of a free 5G phone so you can listen to all the latest episodes of the Locked On Bucs podcast. The power of 3 unlimited data lines for $30 a month per line, so your family can harness all that brain power too, and the power of one of America's largest 5G networks, so you can do it all at the speed of 5G. With all that money you'll save and all that knowledge you'll gain, just how powerful will you become? Switch to Boost Mobile and find out. Get a free Samsung Galaxy A32 5G when you switch to one of America's largest 5G networks. More power to save. Boost Mobile. Free phone limited to new customers and 1 per line. Additional restrictions apply. Offers and coverage not available everywhere or for all phones and networks. See boostmobile.com for details. The Bucs may not have Chris Godwin for the playoff push, but they are still hoping to play in Super Bowl 56 at SoFi Stadium, and that game is less than 100 days away. On location, the official hospitality partner of the NFL, is the only place to score a once-in-a-lifetime Super Bowl ticket and experience package. Select your exact seats and choose from elite experiences featuring an exclusive pre-game celebration with NFL legends, 5-star Los Angeles hotels, and food by the great Wolfgang Puck. Visit onlocationexp.com/SB56 for more information or search Super Bowl On Location. That's onlocationexp.com/SB56 or search Super Bowl On Location. Segment 2 here, the Locked On Bucs podcast. James Yarko flying solo on this one. Shout out to my co-host David Harrison. You can find us both on Twitter at JYarko_Bucs, at DHarrison82. We thank you for making Locked On Bucs your first listen or first watch every day. And we thank all of you for your interaction, whether it's on that Twitter account, whether it's in the YouTube comments, or whether it's voicemails. We're going to get to some voicemails right now. We have some people calling in. Some are glass half full. Some are glasses completely empty. Some have a couple questions. Let's go ahead and dive into our first caller, Jay from Tallahassee.
Hey, guys. Jay from Tallahassee here. I have to say I'm a little disappointed in all the negativity. You know, the defense played really well. Sure, the offense got a little banged up, but, we just need to get healthy before the playoffs. But I did want to go over this one kind of interesting stat. There's only been 3 times in Bucs history that they have been swept by the Saints and finished that year with a winning record. 2002, 2020, and now 2021. Go Bucs.
Jay, thank you very much for the call. I appreciate it. And yeah, I mentioned it with David a couple of times this week. I mentioned it on my solo episode after the first Saints game. The Buccaneers, in seasons that they've won the Super Bowl, have been swept in the regular season by the Saints. So I prefaced it last week. I said it's not all doom and gloom if the Buccaneers lose the game. I certainly didn't expect it to finish 9-0 and the offense to just completely trip and bumble and poop all over themselves. But it is what it is. You know, this is still, at the end of the day, and Jay's right. I'm not sure exactly what negativity Jay is referring to, but I'll tell you about the negativity that I have experienced. I was running the Bucs Nation Twitter account during the game, and it was the sky is falling all over again. This team is going to lose to the Jets. The entire coaching staff should get fired. They're going to be one and done in the playoffs. They're completely falling apart because they barely beat the Colts and they collapsed against the Bills and all this stuff. And look, this is a 10-4 football team. They're probably going to finish 13-4. They should have finished 14-3 and made my prediction come true, but they didn't. It happens. One of my bold predictions before the season started was the Bucs were going to be undefeated in prime time. They were one game away from making me look smarter than I truly am. But it happens. It's football. There's anomalies. There's no reason the Buccaneers should have lost to that Saints team. None. But you lose Chris Godwin. You lose Mike Evans. You're already without Antonio Brown. You're already without Brashad Perryman. Those aren't excuses. I once had somebody ask me, and it's a line that I've used numerous times if the situation was correct. Explain to me the difference between an excuse and a reason. Because people will call reasons excuses if they don't want to hear rational thought. So you're missing your top 4 receivers. Now, the Saints defense, which is still very good, gets to key in on Gronk. They got away with some stuff. Sure. The Bucs did too. You know, I didn't find the officiating nearly as egregious as I did in the first game, but you know, it was just one of those nights. The Jets beat the Titans. Does that mean that the Titans aren't a good football team, or they're not going to win playoff games when they get Derrick Henry back in 3 weeks? You know, the Jets beat the Bengals. The Bengals are in first place now in their division. The Detroit Lions beat the Minnesota Vikings and the Arizona Cardinals. You mean to tell me that the Detroit Lions are better than those teams? It happens. It's football. We see it every single year. And one of my favorite comments on the Bucs Nation Twitter was, last time I checked, this is what somebody tweeted to me when I was saying, everybody take a deep breath and relax. They said, last time I checked, it's not a prerequisite that you go undefeated to win the Super Bowl. That's the way you got to think about this. They'll regroup. They came back against the Colts. It was an impressive comeback. That's not barely beating them. That's you faced adversity and you overcame it. Against the Bills backs were up against the wall. They are fighting tooth and nail to make the playoffs. And they battled back with an extremely talented football team, a Super Bowl favorite in the AFC before the season to a lot of people. That's not collapsing. That was another team making plays to fight and claw their way back into the game. But the Bucs are the ones that came out on top. Everybody take a deep breath, relax. I know it stinks. It stinks losing to the Saints, but it's not the end of the world. We got another voicemail coming up right now.
Hey, David and James, this is an extremely angry and confused Kendall out of Orinda, California. I'm just wondering if you could help me out with this. So it's 4th and 1, and the Bucs decide to throw a 30, 40-yard bomb to Gronkowski. Can somebody explain that to me? Why it's 4th and 1 or 3rd and 2, and we're taking shots down the field. Not a running play, not a screen, not even a QB sneak. And we're taking shots down the field. And it's not working, but they don't change their tune. They don't see it's not working. They just keep doing it. And lo and behold, we lose a game and get shut out in our own house. Hoping y'all can help me. Let's get through this loss and move on and get some wins back again. But right now, I'm so angry at them. How's it going, guys? Go Bucs.
Kendall, thank you for the call. Look, buddy, I got nothing. I have nothing for you. I do not have an answer for this. I tweeted out from the Bucs Nation account, it was 3rd and 2. They took a deep shot. They were right around midfield. 3rd and 2, take a deep shot, incomplete, they punted away. 4th and 1, you take a deep shot. You need 6 feet. 6 feet. And you throw it 40 yards in the air against a guy who had been basically shut down the whole game. And again, I get it. Bruce Arians said to the media on Monday that when you have Gronk one-on-one, you're going to take that matchup every time. I get it. Imagine it's a lot like that Baltimore 2-point conversion. Baltimore's battling with the Green Bay Packers with a backup quarterback. They scored 2 touchdowns in under 5 minutes to come back. They're down 31-30. They go for 2 and they miss it. Imagine if Huntley had seen Hollywood Brown wide open in the middle of the end zone and they get that 2-point conversion. Everybody is calling Harbaugh a genius. My goodness. What a comeback. What a genius move. They win the game. They stay in first place in the AFC North. So imagine if that shot to Gronk connects. Well, what a gutsy call. What an incredible spark for this struggling Buccaneers team. They finally have an opportunity. That would have put them inside the 20. Would have put them might have even put them inside the 15. Now, all of a sudden, you are closing in on goal to go range. And if you get in the end zone, despite all the struggles, you have an opportunity to take the lead. And the entire complexity of that football game changes in that instant. I didn't agree with the play call. I didn't agree with taking the risk in that situation when all you needed to do was move the sticks. But football's a game of inches. And, the Bucs didn't have them on Sunday night. So I get the frustration, Kendall. I do. I get it. But you got to look at the other side of the coin. How many of these voicemails are going to talk about what a genius play that was if the Buccaneers connect on it and go on to win. There's always that other side of the coin. We got one more voicemail we're going to hit, and it's from a first-time caller, I believe. At least it's the first time when I've been on here. But we got a call coming in all the way from Japan, and it's our buddy Mark. Let's hear from Mark.
Hey, guys. This is Mark. I'm here in Japan. I just got a couple questions, man. Maybe you guys can help me out. What is it about the Saints? This is really, it's so frustrating. My Beagle is in shock because of all the yelling I've been doing at the TV. But that's here nor there. Anyway, I got a couple questions for you. One is all this these ideas for people saying that should the Bucs cut AB? Should they not? I guess we answered that question here tonight. There's no way in hell they can cut AB. They've got no wide receivers left. I mean, who knows when Godwin and what's his name? Evans is going to come back. I mean, this is insane. And Grunt was stone hands tonight. The guy couldn't catch a ball if it was right in his lap. In fact, there were a couple right in his lap. He just couldn't hold on to him. One thing I did see I really appreciated, though, was JTS finally finished a sack. Oh, my goodness. It's insane watching that defense. I mean, it was swarming really well there for a while, but they could not complete the sack. But then when JTS got his, I was like, oh, thank God, we're good. Anyway, there was one crucial third down play, which really I kind of questioned. I don't know if it was Leftwich, it was Brady who came up with this one, but okay, they gave it to Keyshawn Vaughn on 3rd and 1. It was a really crucial point in the game, and why would you give it to him? Why wouldn't you give it to Vita Vea? Why couldn't you bring him in to go ahead and push you that line and get that crucial 3rd and 1? I don't know. Maybe guys, maybe you can answer this for me. I don't know. Anyway, nice talking to you guys. Finally get the call. Thanks a lot. Love the work you guys do. Talk to you later. Bye.
Mark, thank you so much for the call. I'm going to be quick about this one. What is it about the Saints? I don't know. I have no idea. It seems like every team has that one team that it doesn't matter what their record is. They just can't seem to overcome. A perfect example, sticking in the city of Tampa, the Tampa Bay Lightning. They haven't won a game in Minnesota in I don't know how long. For whatever reason, they just can't win there. And it makes no sense because Minnesota has been terrible for like the last decade. But for whatever reason, the Lightning just can't seem to win there. It makes no sense at all. So I don't know what it is. I don't know. I got nothing. Obviously you talked about AB. Yeah. After last night, we knew AB wasn't going to go anywhere. And then, the news had come out Sunday morning that Antonio Brown was going to be back. Bruce Arians confirmed on Monday when speaking to the media that Antonio Brown is going to be back. Couple other quick things. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, phenomenal game out of JTS. And I don't know why you go to Keyshawn Vaughn. This team is in so much trouble if they don't bring back Leonard Fournette or get anybody to be the lead back. Keyshawn Vaughn ain't it. He is not the guy. He looked terrible. You finally get an opportunity, dude, and you're dropping balls and you're getting hit for lost yards when there's a wide open hole. Keyshawn Vaughn ain't it, y'all. Real quick before we move on, Darren from Colorado. I wanted to play your voicemail. It broke up like 40 seconds in, and it was just dead air, and then it picked up for like the last 15 seconds. So please continue to call in. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. It was nice to hear what little I did hear, but I wanted to give you a quick shout out. I know you were a first-time caller. So continue to call in. I did try to play yours, and it just wasn't going to work. Something that does work is our friends over at betonline.ag. They have you covered all season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football season continues to march towards the playoffs. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this season. Head to the new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit with promo code Locked On. Again, promo code Locked On, LOCKEDON, for a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Wrapping things up here on a Tuesday edition of the Locked On Bucs podcast. James Yarko without my regular co-host David Harrison, but you can check out everything that we are doing over at bucksnation.com. Follow along on Twitter at Locked On Bucs, at JYarko_Bucs, and at DHarrison82. I almost took you straight into the outro. For those of you that have been longtime listeners, you're like, wait a minute, James, you owe us a little bit more. Don't you go into that outro right now. It's muscle memory at this point. And when David's not here, I kind of get scrambled a little bit. I'm not saying it's David's fault. That's just the way my brain works. So once I start to say the wrong thing, if it's something that I repeat a lot and I go into that, it just continues to come out. I can't stop it. Much like the Buccaneers can't stop the Saints. That's how we're going to wrap things up today, or my final takeaways from the game. And I'm going to, Jay, I started down, again, this is how my brain works. I started down a tangent and I realized like halfway through, like I am not addressing one of the main reasons for Jay's call, but that's okay. We're going to call back to it. We're going to Tarantino this thing. We're going to move it backwards, and we're still going to touch on it here in my final takeaways from the loss. And that was, yes, the defense did its job. And that's the kind of defense that you are going to need if you're going to make another run at a Super Bowl. Now, if you hold any NFL offense to 9 points, there is no reason you should not win, especially when you are at home in a stadium where you are averaging 38 points a game. It was the offense that let them down. The defense held up their end. They forced numerous 3-and-outs. It wasn't until halfway through the fourth quarter before the Saints got their first down of the half. This game falls on the offense. And you can talk about the injuries because they do play a factor. But when you have Gronk out there, you have Cameron Braid out there, you have Tyler Johnson out there, you have a deep connection to Scotty Miller, but you keep throwing the ball to Jaelon Darden, who, if I never see Jaelon Darden return another kick or another punt again, it'll be too soon. That guy, I was excited about the potential, but I've never seen a human being slip and fall more often than Jaelon Darden does when he's running on a football field. There's one of two options here. Either get him some better spikes or don't let him do this anymore, because it's actually hurting the Buccaneers. There were times against the Saints that he could have broken off 15, 20-yard punt returns. And you start going that far on a punt return, you could go to the house. But this nonsense of him returning it from like 2 yards deep in the end zone and only getting to the 16-yard line because he slips and falls like he's running on ice, it's ridiculous. He doesn't need to be doing it anymore. I would rather have Mickens back. It's bad. So stop using Darden altogether. Don't use him as a returner. Don't target him as a receiver, especially when you have other options. I mean, I hate to harp on this. I brought it up a few weeks ago when I wished him the best of luck in all of his future endeavors. How far do you have to have fallen as O.J. Howard to not have Godwin, Evans, AB, Rashad Perryman on the field at all, and you still can't get more targets than Jaelon Darden? O.J. Howard had one target. The Buccaneers were literally asking Bud Light vendors in Raymond James Stadium to throw on some pads and go try to catch a pass from Tom Brady. And O.J. Howard still can't get any targets. So either he's fallen out of grace that far, with the team and the coaching staff, or they flat out don't trust him. At the end of the day, because I need to wrap this up. I ran really long on the voicemails. Defense was outstanding. You need to see more of that. And they were outstanding without Jamel Dean, without Antoine Winfield Jr., without Mike Edwards, without Richard Sherman. That's a positive sign. So you get those guys back. I'm going to go ahead and assume that at least Antoine Winfield Jr. will be back this week against the Carolina Panthers. You're getting Mike Edwards back from suspension. You need this defense, just like they did last year. They got hot in those last 4 games. So the defense is hot. The offense has to figure it out. And they have to do it without arguably their best pass catcher for the rest of the season and into the playoffs. With that, I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back tomorrow with Evan Klosky on a WTSP Wednesday. We're going to dive into more of this. We're going to talk about what does the future look like for these Buccaneers? What does the rest of this season and what kind of chances do they have in the playoffs now that they're having to battle back for the 2 seed and probably aren't going to get the 1 seed, but now they have to overcome Dallas for the 2 seed. Lots more talk about this with Evan Klosky of 10 Tampa Bay on tomorrow's show. Thank you for making this episode your first listen or first watch every day. Now, make your second listen the Locked On Bets podcast, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. Check out everything David and I are doing over at BucsNation.com. Follow along on Twitter at LockedOnBucs, at JYarko_Bucs, at DHarrison82, and at Bucs_Nation. Hope you all have an absolutely outstanding day. Stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands, be good to one another. We thank you so much for joining us right here at Locked On Bucs.